¿A dónde está papi? 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 ¿A dónde está papi?
Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Tuesday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Tuesday. Welcome, everybody. Derry Bennett, welcome. 4 more months until November 5th. Indeed. Indeed. Do you guys use Q-tips in your ears or not? Hey, welcome, Heat. Michael Hassler. I know you shouldn't, but I don't like water in my ears. Yeah, you'd have to be careful using Q-tips. They're like, if you go to any little pharmacy store or maybe grocery store might have them, they sell like these. I forget what they're called, but they're like basically plastic Q-tips, for lack of a better word. They're not real Q-tips. They're specially made for your ears. I think the brand is called Cleanear, Cline. Clinere. That might help. Cosmic Seeking, Kamikazion. Welcome, everybody. Alright, folks. Plastic sounds worse than cotton and paper. It's actually not that bad. It's actually not that bad at all. Welcome to Simulacra. Because, like, it has, like, it's like a tiny spoon. I don't know how to describe it. It's like a tiny spoon with, like, little openings in it. And, you can use that to clean your ear. But definitely be careful with the regular Q-tips. Alright, folks, we're on the clock here. I gotta make sure we get this done, because I have limited time today, folks. These next couple streams are gonna be slightly shorter. Slightly, just a little bit shorter than normal, so let me just get started, folks, because there's a lot to talk about. Not enough time, as it always seems to be the case. Folks, the usual disclosure. If you enjoyed the content and haven't done so, consider hitting the follow button. Keep liking the stream on YouTube. Join the Discord, folks. Thank you for liking the stream. I appreciate it. As children, my mom put olive oil in our ears to remove wax buildup, topped off with a cotton wool plug overnight. No, I think this one is to remove water from your ears. But yeah, I guess if you have like I guess if you're careful with the Q-tip, you'll be all right. All right, folks, let's get started. Come on, let's go.
I'm proud to be, as I said, the first vice president, first black woman, served with a black president.
Whew. Yeah, that was pretty rough. Give me 1 second, folks. Sorry about that. All right. Daniel Blixit, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Yeah, this is pretty bad. Thank you for the follow, Pixie. Welcome. Sorry, let me rewind that. Does anybody believe Bastion Joe will guarantee a Trump presidency? It won't. What guarantees a Trump presidency is Joe Biden not stepping down. That's what guarantees a Trump presidency. He's doing this all by himself. Joe Biden's doing this by himself. This is going to be his fault.
I'm proud to be, as I said, the first vice president, first black woman, served with a black president.
Jon Stewart.
Yeah, like, so let me stop. Like, that alone should have been it. Like, that's it. Case closed. Enough is enough is enough. Right, he was supposed to be a one-term president. Then I suspect there's probably a very good reason as to why that would have been the case, because, yeah. Jon Stewart is good. Jon Stewart is good. So this interview was supposed to, like, inspire Assange. Any concerns people might have had? No.
Weighed in on the conversation that's been going around about the idea of replacing
No, Michelle Obama's not going to be in any way, shape, or form. That's not happening.
Joe Biden, and in the process, shared some clips. A few that I forgot about, because there are a lot of clips like this, and one that is more recent that I just never seen before. I likely shared it at the beginning of this video because it is completely ridiculous. But I'm going to discuss, I'm going to share a few clips from this Jon Stewart segment and just continue discussing this idea, as well as bring up some polling showcasing where Biden is now compared to where he was back in 2020, and just fueling the idea and the discussions around why Democrats are taking this so seriously. And this isn't just, some hopeful discussions online, but why people in the party are worried about their own races because of what Biden is doing to the ticket. So let me start here with the first clip.
That's the racist, transphobic name Chuds used for Michelle Obama. Yeah, I'm gonna hope also that it was not meant to be Michael Obama, because I didn't think about that.
In 2022.
Then Gavin Newsom for president with Gretchen Whitmer as vice. No, that's a pipe dream. All of these are people who are not going to jump in. Like, there's no, the only realistic viable option 4 months left to the election is, unfortunately, Kamala Harris. That's it. That's the best that the Democratic Party is going to be able to pivot to, assuming Joe Biden doesn't step down, which it doesn't appear that he is. It doesn't appear that he is. However, I guess what would be an interesting conversation is, if he does step down, who would Kamala pick as vice president, right? I guess that's the only interesting conversation that would be had at that point. But first, Joe Biden has to make that decision, and it doesn't appear that he's going to. Kamala can't win. She has a better chance right now. She has a better chance of winning. She has a better chance of winning against Trump than Biden against Trump right now. It's not a guaranteed loser. You're in a completely different world. She's got a better chance to beat Trump than Biden does at this time. It's not guaranteed, but she has a better chance. Does that make sense? Harris/Caucasian billionaire 2024. Yeah, she does, but she won't win. At this point, Biden isn't on the winning, isn't winning either. So I'd rather have somebody who has a slightly better chance than someone who's currently losing on paper. Does that make sense? Because who else are they going to pivot to? Who else can access the campaign money that they need to make this work in 4 months? There's literally no other person that could fill that at this point.
When we saw Biden give a shout out to Representative Jackie.
Representative Jackie, are you here? Where's
The
Jackie?
campaign money will appear? No. They can access the money. This is American elections we're talking about. The Biden-Harris PACs, yeah, they can. But to pivot that to somebody else and then create an entire campaign for them, a winning campaign for them in 4 months, that would be a tall order, I would say. Just have to pass it through a PAC. Get someone who's already running, like Whithouse. Like Sheldon Whitehouse? You mean the senator? I actually don't mind that senator. He's running for his Senate seat. Yeah, for his Senate seat. And then to pivot to who's going to run in that seat to maintain the slim majority in the Senate? Who's going to take his place? Just to be clear, Senator Whitehouse would actually be an improvement over both Kamala Harris and Biden. His focus is dark money, Citizens United, SCOTUS accountability, and climate. Yeah. He's definitely an improvement over either Kamala Harris or Joe Biden. John Fetterman, no. He's on mainstream media all the time, so people know him. Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I'm not. No, I don't think that's gonna. That doesn't work the way. There are probably others too. Maybe. But who can pivot in 4 months' time, to be able to make this happen? Oh, hello. Look at that, folks. We have a visitor. We have a visitor. It's pathetic that 4 months seems like such a short time because of our constant election cycles. Yep. That's true. Is this Buddy? No, this is Vaquita. Who would be popular to independents? At this point, I don't know. You know, honestly, this is conversations the Democratic Party should have had 4 freaking years ago. Yeah.
I didn't think she was going to be here.
Unfortunately, Jackie was dead. It's something that the president seemed to have known 6 weeks earlier when he released a condolence statement about her death. So, Then there was the recounting of a recent conversation that the president had with his counterpart, the president of France.
And Mitterrand from Germany, from France, looked at me and said, you know, why, how long are you back for?
Unfortunately, Mitterrand is also dead.
Oh my God. All right.
Whew. You are inflating all the MAGA talking points. What MAGA talking points? Can you articulate that? What MAGA talking points? At any point, did you see any MAGA there, or was that just Biden talking or attempting to talk? You do realize who Jon Stewart is, right? But wait, before you make any more comments, you need to answer this question. You do know who Jon Stewart is, right? Just to be very, very clear, before you make another comment, you do know who Jon Stewart is, right? Okay, so you don't know who Jon Stewart is? He's a freaking liberal. You know that, right? He's a Democrat. He's like the most milquetoast center Democrat. Like, he's a hardcore party Democrat dude. You know that, right? It's so sad. It's so sad. The amount of delusional like that some of these people are having right now, to the point where they're like literally that their own, you can't, it's just unbelievable to me. You don't understand. If you don't lie and bury your head in the sand, then bad things happen. Exactly. Then shame on him. Shame on you for being so freaking delusional. Shame on you, actually, Cosmic Seeking. Shame on you for not wanting the best outcomes. Shame on you for guaranteeing a Trump presidency. Shame on you, actually. Shame on you.
So,
shame on you for like looking at reality and thinking that's just a MAGA talking point. Shame on you for like literally just looking at Biden clips and thinking that is a MAGA talking point coming from a centrist lib. Okay? That's actually like, man, we're cooked, everybody. We're cooked. My mom had Parkinson's for 7 years and my dad is still a malignant narcissist, so Biden and Trump election rematch is just too much. And I'm sorry too.
I had forgotten about those clips, even though I now remember them, just because there has been so much. Just like with Trump, let's be fair, Trump to a much worse degree. There's just been so much in terms of, you know, his criminal record and all the crap he's done, that it's easy to forget some of these moments. But while I was watching this segment, and I'll get to more clips in a second, while I was watching this, I was just thinking about how did it get to this point? Because in other democracies, I'm not saying they're all better, but in a parliamentary system, there can be a vote of no confidence in the leader, or there can be a caucus revolt where they push the leader out. Usually the leader decides to resign before it gets to that point. But there are ways around the leadership in a way to get someone or in a way to push somebody out.
Right. And the thing is, it's happening behind the scenes. The problem is that Biden isn't stepping down. That's the issue. We'll talk about another representative statement in just a moment. I feel like I'm stuck in a coconut tree, don't we all?
With the president, it's a lot tougher, to the point where, you know, it appears, I'm going to get to some other potential in a second here, but it appears that this really has to be Biden's decision, which means it is left up to somebody who, so Biden recently issued this challenge me. Biden bets no one will take his convention dare, because he's unlikely to face the challenge because of how it operates.
If you want the performance of stainless steel, the versatility of cast iron, and the convenience of non-stick, then you want Hex.
So as they write here,
Why am I getting ads for pans? Amazing. Why he is incompetent to even make that decision. My mom could hardly walk, but always thought she could still drive. It is pretty bleak.
technically, yes, Biden can be challenged at the convention, even though he overwhelmingly won the primaries. But unlike Republicans, Democrats don't bind delegates via legal sanctions, though 14 states require delegates to follow the primary results unless the candidate releases them. So well over a majority of delegates are theoretically in play. The convention's preliminary rules say a presidential wannabe who can secure the support of at least 300 delegates, not more than 50 from any state, can become an authorized candidate. So far, so good, right? This sounds like, oh, look, they can challenge him at the convention, and there you go. It's all good. But the issue here is timing. This whole discussion is very late in the process. Biden's coronation or replacement would almost certainly have to happen no later than the first week of August.
By the way, a month from now, just FYI.
As the DNC is planning a virtual roll call to avoid its nominee being left off the ballot in Ohio, which requires the candidates be named by August 7th. Dates as early as July 21st have been brooded about for the virtual roll call. That hardly leaves enough time for anyone to even imagine a campaign to challenge Biden, much less to wage and win one. So the issue here is based on how the rules operate. There would have to be somebody who is so popular right now, who is already in the process right now of challenging Joe Biden, who is already ginning up support from delegates who have already been selected, or I should say, have already been decided that they're supposed to be going to Joe Biden. They have to be so convinced that this other candidate is so much better and so clearly the choice. This all has to happen, and there has to be enough of those people. This has to happen by the first week of August. This idea of the party being...
Folks, just to let you know, there's a really big thunderstorm going on outside. So if the power goes out, then so be it. Kamala's not going to challenge Joe in any way. No, she doesn't have to. Joe needs to just step aside, essentially. Like, effectively, like, that's what needs to happen. Because the way the rules are kind of written, it's... Just to be clear, what the Democratic Party is doing is completely a formality. Oh, Joe Biden's illness, preview of how they treat anyone that has disability or illness. Stephanopoulos did a good job trying to tell him.
Able to coalesce around somebody else. Of course, it's possible, but it's very unlikely. This is why this really comes down to powers within the party, and ultimately...
Welcome, Miss Nixon.
I mean, Jill Biden, Hunter Biden, Biden's family, they have to be the ones to pressure Biden to withdraw, or it's not going to happen.
He does need to step down. I agree.
Here is the next clip.
For a campaign based on honesty and decency, the spin about the debate appears to be blatant bullshit. And the redemption tour hasn't gone that much better. Whether it's been on the radio...
I'm proud to be, as I said, the first vice president, first black woman, served with a black president.
None of this was reassuring. And we're told that the threat of Trump is so great and the stakes are so high that even bringing up these absolutely legitimate concerns about the president's ability to do the most vigorous job in the world for the next 4 years is enabling fascism. Yet even the president doesn't seem particularly alarmed.
If you stay in and Trump is elected and everything you're warning about comes to pass, how will you feel in January?
Yeah, this is yeah. This is my favorite clip. It feels naughty watching this. I hope you don't get a strike. Me neither. I'm hoping because it's on YouTube. I feel like maybe David Doe already rolled the dice. So I feel like that's a pretty a pretty well assessed risk, I think. Stress is one of the things that speeds up a Parkinson decline. It will do him in. Yeah, I mean, you could see the difference even in a couple of years. SV Harkin, I definitely agree with you. Jaden McNally, thank you for the follow. Welcome. I agree with you.
I feel as long as I gave it my all and I did the goodest job as I know I can do, that's what this is about.
That's not what this is about!
Amazing. Also, I worry they're over-medicating him for tremor to hide it, and it's messing him up. That's also a possibility. Good catch on that. I didn't think about that. Look at Michael J. Fox and how quick his decline was. Yep, that's true.
There are no participation trophies in endgame democracy. Oh, yes. I remember FDR saying, well, if the Nazis take over Europe, at least both teams had fun.
Both of those clips are absolutely insane. So the one about I'm a black woman, I don't even know where to go with that. But that one where during the interview with George Stephanopoulos, I covered that in my discussion about George Stephanopoulos, or that interview. And that is, for putting aside Biden's health and all those.
Like, I think what he was trying to say was that he was the vice president to the first black president, and he was the president while having the first black woman as vice president, but like it came out like completely mushed. Yeah, exactly. He was trying to take credit for having the first black woman VP, right? And he was also trying to it sounded like he was trying to mix in that he was also the vice president to the first black president. But yeah, exactly the simulacra. He couldn't communicate it. Correct. Who will you be voting for? The end game.
Those problems. Just that response alone, the response to what if you lose, and then Biden makes it all about himself. That gives away the game. Even if he feels that way, even if many politicians feel that way because they're doing it for their own ego, this is not something you tell the public. This does not instill any confidence.
Correct.
This does not make people want to vote for you.
Right. This kind of gives you the impression that it doesn't matter if he loses. There is fundamentally no, and we know this. But the point being is that he will be fine. There's fundamentally no consequence to him losing. So of course he can get up there and say, well, as long as I did the goodest job, it'll be okay. He doesn't care because he doesn't have to. Having a narcissist con man as a dad, I will vote against Trump.
So I
think the Pope needs to step in.
That answer is just the absolute worst answer, and it showcases that Biden is not taking this threat as seriously as he needs to, even though he claims at times, and correctly claims, how threatening Donald Trump presidency would be. When you respond to that question by making it about yourself, it shows everybody that this is really about your own ego. Now, after the next clip, I'm going to get deeper into some polls just to show you where things are currently sitting, but I do want to share this before I get to that, because this really is amazing. So Dave Weigel here on Twitter shares Real Clear Politics poll average on this day in prior campaigns. So Biden on this day in 2020 was leading by 9 points. I'll get to where he currently is. Clinton was leading by 4.7, Obama by 2.5, Obama again by 4.2, and Kerry by 2. Of course, Kerry and Clinton both lost their races. The Obama polling, I think, was a little more accurate during that time, but in terms of at least Clinton and Biden, these polls overestimated Democratic support. So Biden ended up winning in 2020 by about 3.5, 4 points, about half of where it is right now. Now, again.
Ooh. The lights are flickering, folks. All right, once again, I'll make this announcement. It seems like there's a pretty big thunderstorm going out, so if the power goes out, it goes out. It is what it is. The Pope needs to stop the genociding U.S. president. Yep. Biden, as Catholics affirm, the Pope could give a message directly from God. Oh, please. The Pope could actually save this whole thing by saying exactly that, the simulacra. I agree.
This is polling on this day. I'm sure polling closer to election day was closer to the result. But still, he was up by 9 at this point in the race. He is currently losing.
Yeah, that's not a good sign. I don't care about any of these races. I don't care about the John Kerry race. I don't care about the Obama race, the Clinton race. I think that what's significant is the change from the race of 2020, where he was +9, and I'm sure he's going to give us the other one now.
As Weigel writes here, first time in 24 years that the GOP nominee has led after the July 4th holiday, going into conventions. So I'll get to more accuracy around, or the exact numbers around Biden and Trump and their polling right now. But here is the last clip that I want to share.
Do you have any idea how
I'm in no way saying Biden's got to drop out, but can't we stress test this candidacy? Can't we open up?
Correct. 2020 was largely a referendum on the incumbent Trump. Yes, exactly. Not so much like, oh, everybody's, not so much as like, not so much as Biden like winning. It's more like everybody wanting to get rid of Trump that bad. So yes, I agree. Unless the Dems do something to stop this, they will be hated by both sides for hiding Biden's incompetence during his presidency. 100%. That +9 was in popularity of Biden. Exactly. It was the, negative partisanship.
Up the conversation? Do you understand the opportunity here? Do you have any idea how thirsty Americans are for any hint of inspiration or leadership and a release from this choice of a megalomaniac and a suffocating gerontocracy? It is crushing our spirits. Do you have any idea what could be ahead of you?
That right there, I think, is the ultimate point. That people's spirits are crushed, meaning turnout is going to be low because neither of these candidates are popular. Republicans are going to vote anyways. They vote regardless. Democrats win when turnout is high. I've said this maybe 1,200 times, if not more at this point. And it isn't just Democrats. I covered the elections in France. Turnout was high.
Exactly what he said. A circus elephant could lead after debating someone that might have Parkinson's disease. Kamala is not it. She has the taint of the Biden administration. She cannot communicate. Yeah, I don't know, though. I'm not exactly a big fan, but I think that strategically, in terms of how this is going to play out, who can just seamlessly move into this campaign 4 months out? I don't know.
Hi. And
who can seamlessly move into this 4 months out without jeopardizing without jeopardizing other particularly important campaigns?
They were able to stop the fascists. That only happened because turnout was high. People came out to vote, and they came out to vote because they had people to vote for. Because, to be clear, it's a different system, parliamentary system, but there was a left flank that they felt inspired by. And both the left and the center worked together to vote out the fascists. So this is the biggest issue with Joe Biden. Even forget his health, even forget the idea that can he even last 4 more, forget all of that. The biggest issue is that he is suppressing the vote. You have almost anyone else in there, it's going to be a huge difference. And this is a great example of that. This is a poll out of Wisconsin. It came out today. New AARP poll of Wisconsin, taken after the debate. Trump is up against Biden by 6 points, but Baldwin, the Democratic senator, up by 5 points in her race. Look at that, an 11-point swing between Joe Biden, the presidential candidate, the president, and Tammy Baldwin. This showcases. You stick Kamala Harris there. You put Gretchen Whitmer there. You put J.B. Pritzker there. Replace Biden with any of these names. It's going to be a much different story. Now, I also want to compare, again, that's today. This is back in 2020. Biden was leading at this time. Sorry, this is from September, to be clear. So a few months later, but September 2020.
Replace Biden with Jon Stewart. On paper, I would love that. Ginsburg did this in the Supreme Court, and now Biden. I think casting Harris aside at the same time, you're admitting Biden is incapable, casting Harris aside at the same time that you're admitting Biden is incapable, is sending the message that the party is completely incompetent, and that hurts the whole ballot. Oh, no doubt. No doubt. Yes, they are incompetent, but this would, I mean, I think that seriously, it's, the amount of moves that can be made at this point in time are very limited. It seems like that's basically the only path, the only viable, tenable path that that doesn't completely destroy everything in one shot. Including down ballot races, because man, imagine going into 2024 by giving the Republicans back the Senate, increasing the House majority of the Republicans, and giving them the presidency. Yeah. Stephen Colbert has actually run for office before.
Biden up 50 to 46%, and he ended up barely winning Wisconsin by 0.7%. So again, this overestimated the vote for Democrats, or at least for Joe Biden in Wisconsin. Now, here is, so the Real Clear poll or politics polling average. Trump is up on average by 3.3 points. So as I said, or as Dave Weigel said, this is the first time in 24 years where the GOP nominee is leading at this point. And I mean, go down the list. Like, it is Trump in every single one, except for the tie here in a Reuters Ipsos poll from July 1st to 2nd. Otherwise, it is a disaster. And you go through battleground states. Look at that. Trump up, up, up. Nevada, same thing. Wisconsin. Oh, here's a little piece to hang on to. There's a chance. There's one Bloomberg Morning Consult poll from July 1st to 5th where Biden's up by 3 in Wisconsin.
Yeah, so that's fine, but most of the polls show him losing. So the thing is, what we care about is the average of where the trend is going, because any one singular poll is kind of useless. So the whole point is to observe the trend as time goes, right? I just looked it up. He was denied being on the ballot, but he paid the fee. Kamala is a part of a genociding administration. I just can't support it. At least White House called for a ceasefire and aid with a handful of other senators. Has Kamala Harris said anything about what she would do in this situation? Like, does she have a position? Or rather, not have a... Well, has she made any statements regarding the genocide? That was the Joe campaign? Oh, okay, gotcha. Gotcha.
Another one. Oh, up by 5 in the same Bloomberg Morning Consult poll, which appears to be an outlier here. As you see, Trump continues to reign supreme in all of these polls. Same thing in Pennsylvania. North Carolina, same thing. Georgia, same thing. You know, if Biden was a better candidate, you could say, well, look, there's 4 months. There's an opportunity. There's a runway here where he can turn it around.
No, there isn't.
Does anybody?
No, there isn't. Like 4 months into an election, when you've had the same results, trending in the negative, there's nothing save an act of God that would change in the next 4 months, right?
At this point, believe that. With this candidate, with what we have seen. Look, I'm hoping for some kind of convention fight because that appears to be maybe the only way this is going to happen. Biden's ego is not going to let him withdraw unless, his wife and his son come out and tell him he's got to leave. But they clearly, according to media reports, are doing the opposite, telling him to stay in the race. I don't know. So I hope this pressure continues. This really has to be a decision made by the Democratic establishment, as they're the ones that pushed this primary process through and made it so he was essentially unchallenged. And they hold all the cards. They hold all the power. So it's good to see people like Mark Warner and others, questioning or at least allowing these discussions to continue. But unless there are some real decisions made there and they coalesce around somebody soon, it's going to be tough.
Because of Gaza, I'm not voting for Biden or Trump. I respect that. Just take the miracle pill that makes you 30 years younger. Yep. If Biden had kept his promise to be one term, they would have never gone after Hunter. He threw his own son under the bus to run again. I don't know. I think Hunter was cooked regardless. That's not even relevant in my opinion. This is a congressperson that just posted this statement not even an hour ago. I think it was like 40 minutes ago. Having a feeling this election we're going to see more write-in on ballots than we have any other election year. Or rather, I just saw this not too long ago. Joe Biden has honorably served this country, ? More than 50 years with grace and dignity. Ah, yes, crime bill Joe. That's not... whatever. During this administration, he has led remarkable legislation that will reverberate for generations. Yeah. Oh, we know. We know. Including historic investments in infrastructure, support for Ukraine and democracies around the world, strategic competition with China to restoring... All right. One of President Biden's most significant accomplishments is defeating a man who presented an existential threat to the nation and institutions upon which this country was founded. Former President Trump. That's why I ran for office in the first place. I know we cannot allow Trump to return to the White House and implement his dangerous Project 2025 plan that hurts the middle class and threatens rights and freedoms, including abortion. I've heard from people in my district who are united in their concern for our country and our future. They want a leader who can continue to build on our success, but it's also able to turn the nation's attention to the urgent threat that Trump presents to our democracy, to our freedom, and to our country. When I think of my 4 children and all of the rights that another Trump presidency endangers, and in light of the recent Supreme Court decision that gave inordinate power to the president, the stakes are too high and the threat is too real to stay silent. I agree with this. I agree with this. I realize this is hard, but we have done hard things in pursuit of democracy since the founding of this nation, so it's time to do it again. I know that President Biden and his team have been true public servants and have put the country and best interests of democracy first and foremost in their considerations. And because I know President Biden cares deeply about the future of the country, I am asking that he declare that he won't run for re-election and will help lead us through a process towards a new nominee. So another congressperson is publicly calling for him to step down.
We are in the process of the Second American Revolution, which will remain bloodless if the left allows it to be.
That was what Heritage Foundation President Kevin Roberts said last week, which is pretty significant because this man runs the organization spearheading Project 2025, which is a plan, for those who don't know, to dismantle American democracy if Trump is elected again. So he's letting all of us know ahead of time that if we reject a Trump dictatorship, there's going to be violence. Now, even though what he said there is incredibly ominous and chilling, I am still really thankful that he was bold enough to say that with his full chest publicly, because now more people than ever are finding out about Project 2025 thanks to him and other individuals.
Good. Heritage was taken over by MAGA. No, I think it's kind of the natural conclusion, right? I mean, these people have been around for decades. It's not new.
Individuals who are trying to sound the alarm about this dangerous plan. And so many people are finding out about this that Trump had to come out and publicly distance himself from Project 2025, writing on Truth Social, quote, "I know nothing about Project 2025.
That's bull. I call immense BS. I know nothing about Project 2025. I have no idea who's behind it. Not me. I can't. Come on. I disagree with some of the things they're saying, and some of the things that they're saying is absolutely ridiculous and abysmal. Anything they do, I wish them luck, but I have nothing to do with them. Bro, you are the key to this, man. Stop it. Stop it.
That's horseshit. I have no idea who is behind it. Also horseshit. I disagree with some of the things they're saying.
Which is absolutely hilarious, because all the people behind Project 2025, all the organizations behind Project 2025 are the same people who are propping Trump up. My brother in Christ, who do you think is running this whole conservative train behind the scenes? It's people like the Heritage Foundation, dude. Where do you think all the organization and money and influence comes from? It comes from at least within the Republican Party, it comes from organizations like the Heritage Foundation. Even Trump's sister calls him a liar. Yeah, 100%.
Saying, and some of the things they're saying are absolutely ridiculous and abysmal. Anything they do, I wish them luck, but I have nothing to do with them. But wait, if you know nothing about it, how could you possibly know that some of the things in Project 2025 are ridiculous and abysmal? Seems pretty suspicious if you ask me. Now, obviously, Trump is lying. Shocker, I know. In fact, Amor Moussa, director of Biden's Rapid Response, seized on that lie and shared ads run by Trump's super PAC where they share a website promoting Project 2025. One ad even calls it Trump's Project 2025. Additionally, as Judd Legum of Popular Information points out, there's more than 30 people from Trump's administration now directly involved with Project 2025, and he adds 31 of the 38 people involved in Project 2025 came from Trump's administration. Furthermore,
come on, you're telling me that Trump has absolutely no knowledge of this, but also recognizes that it is abysmal and wants to stop it. I recommend you watch Joe's speech to NATO today. I'm good on that.
Adds that Trump adopted 64% of the Heritage Foundation's policy recommendations.
You know what speech I do want to watch? I want to watch Joe's speech where he announces that he's stepping down. That's the speech that I'll watch. I'll live stream the heck out of that speech. Okay, that's the only speech I'm interested at this point in time. Is the speech where Joe Biden steps down
in his first term. So it's reasonable to think that he's going to do that same thing again. Now, there's so much more information packed into that thread, which I'll link to down below, that directly ties Trump to Project 2025. But in case you're still in denial after reading that and seeing what I just said, here's some of his former administration officials openly discussing Project 2025 explicitly.
So what we're doing with...
Yeah, also, just to be clear, these people are all Trump inner circle people. And all they have to really do is just all they would have to do to trick him into signing or being on board with Project 2025 is just call it Save America, a project or some nonsense, and he'll sign off on it. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. My health is fine. It's just my brain. Howdy, howdy. Indeed. They did a minor version of it in 2016 when 50 plus people from the Heritage Foundation list were put in Trump's administration. Now it's full circle. The list has been purged of anyone not MAGA. Yeah, I mean, natural conclusion of conservatism is where it all ends up.
Project 2025 is we're recruiting the MAGA America First Republicans right now so that we can take DC by storm in 2025. We're not going to go in like we did in 2017.
Yeah, they're not messing around this time, okay? They've got a pretty in their heads a pretty solid plan. Arguably much more well thought out than before. I don't know how much of this they're gonna be able to accomplish, but nonetheless, this is about as organized as they've been, and about as coherent of a plan as I've seen. And it's not good. It's not great. Not good. Not great. Someone mentioned RBG. Yep. I feel like I've been real upset with the Democrats before, but never like this over Joe refusing to drop. Yeah, I mean, like, this is serious. This is not a joke. This is not a joke. The consequences of Republicans taking power and real power is dire. The consequences of them taking power is dire. Trump fights for equality and inclusion. Log cabin Republicans and Melania Trump to host log cabin Republican fundraiser at Mar-a-Lago. Oh man, I can assure you that Trump does not care about equality. I can assure you that when a death cult takes power. Yep.
Where the establishment took over and co-opted much of the personnel of President Trump's administration. We're more prepared this time. We're recruiting grassroots conservatives, and we want all of you, if you want to serve in the next White House, next State Department, next Pentagon, we want you to sign up. Tell your sons, tell your daughters, tell all your friends. It's project2025.org.
So, Johnny, okay, you heard that? If you got...
Reminds me of a book by a German painter in the 30s. Yeah, odd German or Austrian, was it German? Austrian painter in the 30s that was rejected by the art school. The Democrats apparently don't mind fascism, right? Like the problem with the liberals is that they're incapable of effectively meeting fascism. I mean, they react to it. But it's kind of like the frog in a pot kind of deal, and like we can't have that at this point in time. We can't have that at this point in time. It's a coup in its way, yeah. So many Roman salutes. The Democrats have no heritage foundation. Yeah, he's just blocking the sun. Perfect pause pose for this guy, honestly. Maybe it's just that the Democrats don't feel like there are any repercussions. They think that the institutions will hold, and that's just it. The civility politics will prevail.
Guys want to serve, you've got to get engaged now. You've got to be involved now, because one of the big parts of this is networking. It's not just training people up, but those networks that we do with grassroots organizations, with other organizations. Walk through, tell me what the plan is.
So we're collecting resumes. We're getting as much information as we can now to save the transition time on the back end. As you know, when a president wins, or president-elect wins, things happen very quickly, and you have a short amount of time to staff an entire administration. It's also looking beyond the 4,000 and what we can do with the bureaucracy itself So we're thinking of creative policy things as well that will integrate with this.
Well, hold it. When we talk about that, let's
Yeah, and creative policy that effectively can be quite literally anything. So it's not like 75% of the country is apathetic about him. 75% of the country hates him. Harris does not have that hate. Agreed. The guy who's supposed to be in jail is organizing a coup to take down the U.S. By nature, authoritarians have a drive to control and obey. You know who else should be in jail? Donald. True.
talk about schedule. I mean, is there going to be a plan in place to start to take apart the administrative state?
There has to be, and yes, there will be. The next president, if President Trump gets back in there, he needs to reorient the government that's in a way that hasn't been seen since Franklin Roosevelt did it with the New Deal. We need to gut these agencies. We need to start from scratch. We need to make a new government, essentially, because the one that we have now doesn't work for conservatives.
Oh, man. Oof. Yikes. So that's a pretty big red flag, right? There's nothing unambiguous about what's happening here.
Notice how at the end there, he said that he wants to remake government so it works for conservatives,
right,
as opposed to, say, all of us. Now, to be clear, he wasn't misspeaking, and that wasn't some sort of a Freudian slip. Project 2025...
Right, there's no excuse. This is very explicit. This wasn't oops, I didn't mean it that way. Nah. This is very, very, very explicit as to what's going on here.
Explicitly does just that. The plan is to radically transform government so that way it works exclusively for conservatives and nobody else. The goal is to impose their will, Christian nationalism, on all of us, regardless if we like it or not. And according to Kevin Roberts, if we don't like it and we try to fight back or resist in any way, shape, or form, there's going to be violence against us. So what Project 2025 does is it dismantles the administrative state and abolishes agencies that they don't like, such as the Department of Education, and then they have Trump take control of the existing agencies that they don't abolish, direct control, by the way, and then once you've done that and consolidated all of this power into the executive, well, you then have Trump unilaterally enforce Christian nationalist policies, such as nationwide, bans on abortion, porn, bans on gender-affirming care, a ban on gay propaganda like the one that we see in Russia, abolish same-sex marriage, jail teachers who affirm queer kids, an effective ban on queer existence in public after designating gay people and trans people as porn. It is explicitly authoritarian, and Trump's only running away from it now because it's a massive turnoff to most Americans who don't want to live in a Christian theocracy. But in terms of the Heritage Foundation, they don't give a shit if it scares people. In fact, I think that they're enjoying the fact that it scares people. And I say that because Roberts, who is the guy threatening violence, responded to the controversy by doubling down. The Hill reports, quote, "The Heritage Foundation and its president, Kevin Roberts, are facing blowback in the wake of his comment about an ongoing Second American Revolution that will, quote, remain bloodless if the left allows it to be. Heritage and Roberts, though, are standing by the comment, dismissing the criticism as being in bad faith. Quote, Americans in 2024 are in the process of carrying out the Second American Revolution to take power back from the elites and despotic bureaucrats. These patriots are committed to peaceful revolution at the ballot box," Roberts said Wednesday in a post on the social media platform X.
Oh, I see. I get it. So it's the left who's being violent. Got it. While horrible, all of this is nothing new. Conservative think tanks have been writing things up like this for decades. That's true. However, I think that this one, this one's a little bit, I think they feel like this one, they feel like they got something with this, and they feel like there's a momentum where they might actually win to the point where they can actually implement this instead of fantasizing about it for decades. I think that's what's different, because they seem incredibly enthusiastic about this. This has nothing to do with getting paid for interaction on X.
Continuing to describe the threat he sees and warning that the left may not allow a peaceful transfer of power. Oh, well, that's fucking rich. Now, a couple of hours after Roberts made those comments, well, guess what happened? The official Heritage Foundation Twitter reposted the exact same words, the exact threat that he made. But they tried to change the context to scapegoat the left and make it seem as if they're the ones that are violent. But in the original video, he very clearly says, we're going to impose our will on everyone else. This is a second American revolution. And if you don't comply with the new government that we form, well, there's going to be violence. So regardless of how you try to spin this, it is very much an implicit threat of violence from the right, not the left. But it's such a bad look that some Republicans, they see it and they are trying to spin it because nobody wants to embrace that who's currently in government, because obviously this is a threat to their electoral chances, because odds are there are at least some conservatives, people in their base that are like, yeah, I still believe in the Constitution and I believe in freedom and I don't think that we should subject everyone else to our religion. I mean, maybe those people exist, I don't know. But one example is Marco Rubio, who's asked about those very comments, and look at the way that he tried to spin it.
We are in the process of the second American Revolution, which will remain bloodless if the left allows it to.
Quick draw, yeah, I caught it right as it happened. Bushed it quite a bit. That's true. Yep.
Are you comfortable with that?
Well, he's not running for president, is he? I mean,
bro, come on. Marco. Little Marco, come on. Come on. Okay, this is wild. I mean, listen, when you're in this position, you have to perform the Olympic level of mental gymnastics to try to like get yourself out of that. And just hope that people aren't paying attention. He's obviously, yeah, bob and weave. He's not, the guy from the Heritage Foundation isn't running for president. He's literally like part of big organizations that are coordinating efforts to make Donald Trump president. Yeah, pretzeling.
Our candidate's Donald Trump. I didn't say Donald Trump say that. Donald Trump's running on common sense, on restoring common sense versus the lunacy of the last 4 years.
That's not the question, Marco. That's not the question.
Here's in the far left and the shadow government that now is running our country with Joe Biden as its figurehead.
It is truly amazing to hear the words common sense and Trump in the same sentence. But this defense by Rubio, it might be more persuasive if Trump didn't already implement most of the Heritage Foundation's policies when he was elected the first time. But he did. In fact, he enacted a majority of the policies that they recommended. Furthermore, he's made it very clear that he wants to do what they want him to do. He's made it very clear that he has dictatorial ambitions. He tried to overthrow the government when he lost the election in 2020. But I guess we're all just supposed to pretend like Trump didn't do that, and that, you know, he's a perfectly democratic politician, small d democratic politician, who actually cares about the Constitution and isn't just in it for himself. But, you know, the surrogates, they're having to do a lot of extra work for Donald Trump, because anyone with a brain and eyes can see that he very much would like to be a dictator, you know? So let's see how they respond when they're asked not about Project 2025 per se, but Trump's dictatorial ambitions, right? Remember, Project 2025 is just a vessel for Trump's dictatorial ambitions. It's a roadmap into how he gets what he wants. But aside from Project 2025, he's been openly saying that he wants to weaponize the Justice Department to go after his political opponents, and he's even raised the specter of killing political opponents. In fact, executing them on live TV for treason. So let's see how his surrogates spin that.
You are saying it's not okay for Joe Biden to weaponize the Justice Department. If it's not okay for Joe Biden to weaponize the Justice Department, as you say, which there's no evidence of that, why is it okay for Donald Trump to do that?
Well, Kristen, first of all, you said that it happens all the time, that the number 3 person in the Department of Justice jumps ship to join a local prosecutor's office to go after the president's political opponent. I don't think that's ever happened in the history of American democracy, and I don't think that we should legitimize it. Now, if Donald Trump's attorney general had his number 2 or his number 3 jump ship to a local prosecutor's office in Ohio or Wisconsin, and that person then went after Donald Trump's political opposition, that's a different conversation.
Senator,
all he's suggesting is that we should investigate credible arguments of wrongdoing. That's all that Donald Trump is saying. That is not a...
Cool, man. I can hear his joints cracking from that pivot. If I was president, I haven't disappeared straight up and proved the treason after the fact, if all just from these ambitions and the real prospect of achieving them honestly. Trump is literally mentally ill with megalomania. He is a dictator by his nature.
Threat to democracy that's merely reinforcing our system of law and government.
Bottom line, you are okay with Donald Trump appointing a special prosecutor to go after his political enemies, which would include Joe Biden. You're just, to button that up, it sounds like you're saying yes.
In recent weeks, former President Trump on his social media has been amplifying calls, circulating posts, calling for televised military tribunals. That's his phrase that he amplified on his social media for people like former Congresswoman Liz Cheney. You say he's not going to be on a revenge tour, but he's been posting on his social media about not only taking revenge, but having televised military tribunals. And you're someone who has served this country in uniform. Do you agree with his push and amplification of those proposals?
Here's what I know. I know we're not going to have televised tribunal trials of Liz Cheney or anybody else.
Oh, well, thank God. Whew. Thank you, Lindsay. I feel so much better. By the way,
it's always projection. It's how they see the world. Yep. A bunch of libs crack piping over this. I don't know. The libs are asleep right now. They're not listening.
It kind of sounds like he's saying,
well, there is a chunk of liberals that are just sticking their heads in the sand at this point. Some of them are waking up, but a lot of them are heads in sand. Anyone who has embarrassed Trump to himself will be relentlessly targeted by Trump. Narcissists do this automatically.
Saying that there's still going to be executions via military tribunal, just that they won't be televised. But to be clear, he's denying that that's going to happen. Now, do I know for certain that Trump is going to hold military tribunals? He's probably not going to do that, if I had to guess, right? Having said that, though, there are other things that he can do to consolidate power and be effectively a dictator, rule unilaterally, ignoring Congress, ignoring anyone who is disloyal to him, and he wants to go after his political opponent. So you don't have to take it to the extreme for it to be bad. It could still be really bad even if the worst case scenario doesn't come to fruition. But I mean, if Trump really doesn't want to go after his political opponents like Liz Cheney to the point where he's holding a military tribunal, trying them for treason and executing them if found guilty, well, you have to ask yourself this question as well. Why would he, somebody who wants to be commander-in-chief, who has the power to declare martial law, share posts calling for military tribunals? If he didn't want us to think that, why would he share that, right? It's almost like he's trying to tell us, hey, I kind of want to be a dictator. He's not saying it explicitly, except for he'll be a dictator for a day, but he's trying to like send us some warning signs, but we're supposed to pretend like, no, this is completely normal for somebody who wants to be president. Also, is it not even more conspicuous that he started sharing those calls for military tribunals after the Supreme Court said that he has the power to assassinate political rivals with SEAL Team 6? I mean, are we supposed to pretend like this is all just a coincidence and he's making these posts in a vacuum? Especially after January 6th, when he showed that he is in support of violence to get what he wants? Again, we don't know the extent to which Trump is going to rule like a madman, but we know he's going to...
Yeah, like he wants to. That's whether or not how much of this is going to come to fruition is yet to be seen. Because we haven't even crossed the election yet. But nonetheless, the point being is that he's comfortable with this. It's a form of terrorizing his opponents in the public. He is a sadistic narcissist. Yeah, it would be best to not find out.
Rule like a madman because he is a madman. It's just a matter of how far is he willing to take it. Does he do 50% of Project 2025, 90% of Project 2025? We don't know. But what we do know is that this man wants to be a fucking dictator. And if you deny that, I think you're just naive at this point. Now, all of this would arguably be less concerning if Trump were just an anomaly, right? And most Republicans weren't also moving further and further to the right into authoritarian territory. But that's not the case, and Trump isn't an anomaly. So here's what Republican gubernatorial nominee in North Carolina, Mark Roberts, had said recently.
You know, it was a time when we used to meet evil on the battlefield, and guess what we did to it? We killed it. We didn't quibble about it. We didn't argue about it. We didn't fight about it. We killed it.
Jesus
when the Japanese
Christ.
bombed Pearl Harbor, what do? We flew to Japan. And we killed the Japanese Army and Navy. We didn't even quibble about it. I didn't start this fight. You did. You wanted to be left alone. You should have left me alone.
That's not true. But
we didn't
anyways,
argue and capitulate and talk about, well, maybe we shouldn't fight the Nazis that hard. No, they're bad. Kill them. Some liberal somewhere is.
wait a minute. Didn't we have like an entire like almost like the entire part of the European side of the war where we kind of like stepped out until the very end? Yeah, and we put people in internment camps. This is my next governor. I'm sorry to hear that. Gotta make up stuff to fit their weird narrative, yep.
I was going to say that sounds awful. Too bad.
You gotta twist and bend and do whatever you gotta do to make it fit, I guess. The truth doesn't matter to these people. It's inconvenient.
Get mad at me if you want to. Some folks need killing. It's time for somebody to say it. It's not a matter of vengeance.
That's a red flag.
It's not a matter of being mean or spiteful. It's a matter of necessity. We have wicked people doing wicked things, torturing and murdering and raping.
Red flag.
It's time
John Rando, thank you for the follow.
to call out those guys in green and go have them handle. Or those boys in blue and have them go handle it. We need to start handling our business again because, guys, what I said at the beginning about you getting in your cars, listening to your radio, putting on what you want to put on, and saying what you want to put on, keep thinking about it. Don't you feel it slipping away? Don't you feel it slipping away? The further away we get from the concept of 1776 and why we declared our independence and how we declared our independence, the further we start sliding into making 1776 a distant memory.
This guy was endorsed by Donald Trump. And
What are we watching? Oh, you know, just fascism. The Republican candidate for governor. We need a communicator to fight MAGA fascism.
And I promise you, it's not the first fucked up thing that he said. Now, to be clear,
it's not.
he's making the case for
If you know who this guy is, he's said a lot of incredibly disturbing stuff, including Holocaust denial.
Judicial murders by using extreme examples like Pearl Harbor and Nazis to get you to accept the premise that murder can be justified for purposes of self-defense, right? But then he starts to kind of move the goalpost a little bit. He starts talking, longer and says some folks just need killing. And then starts by giving you an example of people doing wicked things like torture, murder, and rape. But what about other wicked things? Because a lot of things can be wicked. What about treason? So, let's say Mark's governor, Trump is the president, and he actually does say, I think we should try Liz.
He's probably a Christian, those, that's, yeah. He is. He's definitely in that boat. Let's get away from the monarchy by appointing our own emperor. Welcome, Cognizant.
Cheney in a military tribunal for treason and execute her if found guilty. Ask yourself, after hearing what you just heard, do you think that Mark Robinson would object to that? Of course he would not. He would probably enthusiastically support it. Furthermore, would Mark Robinson want to execute LGBTQ plus people? People who he views as groomers? Or leftists who he views as Antifa or communists? Because in his eyes, those folks are probably wicked as well. I mean, you have to understand how they're still trying to hide the ball to an extent, but the mask is very quickly slipping. And the point is, Project 2025's plan to end democracy exists in this context, right? It doesn't exist in a vacuum. It exists in an era where right-wing stochastic terrorism and violence from the right is on the rise. So when the president of an organization leading the effort to turn America into a dictatorship says that this new revolution that we don't consent to will only be bloodless if the left allows it to be, I mean, that's a fucking threat. And we need to take it as a threat. So in conclusion, don't let Donald Trump or his cronies gaslight you. They want a dictatorship, and they're willing to resort to violence to make that a reality. When people tell you who they are, you need to believe them. They're telling you who they are right now, and if we don't believe them, if we don't take them seriously, we do so at our own peril.
100%. The chilling effect of the first murderous act of the Trump administration, and it's over. Yep. Yep. And here's the article. Trump is trying to distance himself from Project 2025, but its architects helped shape his RNC platform. Last week, former President Trump attempted to distance himself from Project 2025, a sweeping plan to overhaul the federal government, proposed by a close-aligned conservative group. Quote, I know nothing about Project 2025. I have no idea who's behind it. Nonsense. Trump's comment make it seem like he had no connection to the controversial plan or those involved in it. But when Republicans meet in Milwaukee next week and vote to officially confirm the first new Republican Party platform since 2016, which Trump and Republicans across the country will run on, that platform will have been crafted and influenced by individuals with deep ties to Project 2025. In May, the Trump campaign and the RNC announced their platform committee leadership. The senior officials tasked with drafting the Republican platform and named Russ Vought as the platform committee's policy director and Ed Martin as deputy policy director, both which have ties to Project 2025. Vought, who has previously served Trump as the director of Office of Management and Budget, authored a chapter on the Executive Office of the President for Project 2025, Project 2025's mandate for leadership, the conservative promise, which Project 2025 describes as a comprehensive policy guide for the next conservative president. No one in fight in the death cult of Fash will have to run its course. Vought's Center for Renewing America is also listed as a member of Project 2025's advisory board, according to the plan's website. Yeah, that would be like the nightmare scenario, right? Having to effectively watch this run its course, because it's going to be very disastrous. Martin, who the Trump campaign and RNC named as the party's deputy platform policy director, is the president of the Eagle Forum Education and Legal Defense Fund. Eagle Forum is also listed as part of Project 2025's advisory board. Other members on the RNC platform committee with ties to Project 2025 include Family Research Council President Tony Perkins, who has been vocal in the efforts to ensure a Republican platform does not soften its language on abortion. Perkins has said he involved this crafting of 2024 platform, and Family Research Council is also an advisory board member to Project 2025. Yeah, armed. Oh, yeah, look, another clown with the same username, armed with my opinions. Yeah. Yeah. Gonna cry? No. Just gonna ban you. Yeah, this is another alt account. You gonna cry? No, I can just ban you. That's pretty simple. Bye. Yeah, I found their previous account. But thanks for the confirmation. Is this 5th grade? That's so sad. Like, this person has done at least, what, three accounts that I can remember at this point? Obsessed, probably. What I love about this particular troll is that they never change their username. So it makes it incredibly easy to remember. Someone needs to change their name to the original Donald Trump and get their name on the ballot. Hamdi, welcome. At least try to, like, be a little bit different. I guess maybe they want to be recognized. I don't know. Anyways, the new platform was adopted by an 84-14 committee vote on Monday, a source told ABC News. The full Republican National Committee membership vote to officially confirm the platform from the convention floor will happen next week, according to the RNC spokesperson. The DNC press secretary, Amelia Rowland, commented on the RNC platform in a statement, quote, "The reality is that Trump literally put architects of Project 2025 in charge of the Republican platform, and the result is not only the most extreme platform in the GOP history, but one containing lie after lie after lie. Agenda 47 and the president's RNC platform are the only policies endorsed by President Trump for a second term," said Republican National Committee spokesperson Daniela Alvarez. Team Biden and the DNC are lying and fear-mongering because they have nothing else to offer the American people. Remember, this is the same group that lied to Americans and hid Joe Biden's cognitive decline all these years. The Biden-Harris campaign, however, is starting to place ads trying Project 2025 and Trump together. So given the current options, isn't Biden the only choice along with higher voter turnout? I'm from Aussie, so don't shoot me. No, it's actually the opposite. At this point in time, Biden's actively hurting. Turnout. Like, he's threatening to suppress the vote. People are not having it. People are not about it. At this point. It would actually be like, as I was saying, there would be a higher chance or higher probability of a Kamala Harris presidency or campaign winning than there is right now. The Biden campaign right now as it stands. That's a tall order as you've joined an American chat. Oh, yes. Sorry. As recently as April, Project 2025 senior advisor John McEntee, who was previously a Trump White House advisor, said he was working to integrate Project 2025 with Trump campaign while also attempting to create a distinction between the two entities. Obviously, there will need to be a coordination, and the president and his team will announce an official transition this summer, and we're going to integrate a lot of our work with them, but I think keeping the two separate is actually the most beneficial way to go about it. By the end of Trump's first term, McEntee was asked with scouring federal agencies for people who are not fully behind Trump's agenda. In October of 2020, he drafted a memo arguing that Trump should fire then Secretary of Defense Mark Esper 3 weeks before Esper was terminated, as first reported by ABC News chief Washington correspondent Jonathan Karl in his book Betrayal: The Final Act of the Trump Show. A major part of Project 2025's agenda is to expand the presidential power and drastically cut federal agencies like the Education Department, moves that for Trump on the campaign trail has supported. The proposal also calls for a reversal of the FDA's approval of abortion pill mifepristone. Trump earlier this month said he does not support blocking access to the mifepristone. So anyways, the point being is that no, he's not going to be able to distance himself from this. It isn't common knowledge that Trump hired and enacted Heritage Foundation in his presidency. Well, hopefully it is now. Hopefully by this point, it is now. All right, folks. Hello, Cat. Do you see this? That he hasn't already done it once makes me more believable that he's lying now. Trump will bring the Proud Boys back and will make the next election even more interesting. Interesting isn't the word I would use. I'm loving it. Not really. I'm pretty bad. I'm pretty anti-fash. So no, there's nothing to love here. I mean, unless you love violence and unless you love fascism, then I guess you would be loving it. Otherwise, you'd be pretty horrified. But yeah. Trump's president was traumatizing and it wasn't openly fascist like this one would be. Yeah, it's pretty horrific. It's pretty horrific to watch. I mean, again, unless you're like into violence and fascism, then I guess you would love it. Otherwise, you wouldn't understand because you wouldn't have the capacity to actually be. You wouldn't have the capacity to understand or be empathetic. Yeah. What's there to love? The capacity. Yes, the if you love the idea of fascism and violence, then you do not have the capacity to be empathetic and understand why this would be horrible. It is antithetical. These two things are antithetical. Do you understand? Low empathy, authoritarian. I love the idea to see. I love the idea to see the West falling. I don't know what that means. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. The point being is that fascism and violence is bad. So if you like that, then like you just can go fuck yourself. Quite plain. If you are supporting Trump and you're supporting fascism, just go fuck yourself and don't even come back. Don't even bother coming back. So this one we'll go over really quickly. The West with its huge military and nukes will not go peacefully. Jim Inhofe, 89, dies after long Senate career marked by fight against climate change. I think hold on. I think a celebration is in order. Yeah, it's not something, be careful what you wish for. Former Republican Senator Jim Inhofe, the longest serving U.S. Senator in Oklahoman history and a proud critic of overwhelming scientific consensus on human-caused climate change, died on Tuesday. He was 89 years old. Good. A statement from his family confirmed that Inhofe, who was also a defense hawk and supporter of federal infrastructure spending, died 5 days after suffering a stroke. Inhofe previously retired from the Senate in 2023 due to ill health and 4 years left in his term. After serving 4 years in the House, he was elected as Senate and yada yada yada. Anyways, yeah, good riddance. Bye. It's people like that who have unironically led to where we are now, who are directly responsible to where we are now. And yeah, he can go fuck himself. Someone back in the day had the insight to imagine what would happen if the most powerful nation is ruled by an antichrist, someone without empathy and cannot be contained revelations. No, I don't know about that, but more like in hell. Nice. I like that play on words. Trump appointed Alaska judge resigns after sexual misconduct investigation. Wow. Who would have thought? It's almost as though the misogynistic, racist, and homophobes are the same people we keep letting them have fair shots at elections. True. A federal judge in Alaska who abruptly resigned last week subjected his staff to a hostile work environment and engaged in an inappropriate sexual relationship with a law clerk, a U.S. judicial panel said on Monday. The Ninth Circuit Judge Council publicly reprimanded and admonished U.S. District Judge Joshua Kindred, an appointee of Donald Trump, because, of course, who submitted his resignation from his life tenured position on Wednesday after joining the bench in 2020. Color me shocked. Yep. Man. It's, yeah, exactly. No surprise here. The council in May 23rd ordered, in a 23 May order made public on Monday, said it requested his resignation while at the same time referring his case to federal judiciary's top policymaking body so that it could certify the matter for Congress, which could then weigh pursuing a rare impeachment of a federal judge. Kindred, 46, did not respond to a request for comment. He told the council his great sin here was the fact that during the period of time I treated my law clerk as friends rather than employees, according to 9 Yeah, whatever. Nah, dude, that's gross. Gross. The order said an investigation found that Kindred created a hostile work environment for his clerks by frequently using inappropriate language and discussing with them his sex life, their relationships, and his disparaging views of colleagues and public figures. Yeah, disgusting. One down, hundreds to go. An investigative committee found that Kindred had an unusually close relationship with one of the clerks, and that a week after she began a job in the prosecutor's office, Kindred asked her out for drinks, kissed her, and grabbed her buttocks. Days later, the clerk said the judge invited her to an apartment he was staying in and asked her to lie down on a bed with him and perform that on her, and the committee found. The Judicial Council said that Kindred later lied to the investigative committee by denying having a sexual encounter with the clerk. Wonder-Field was appointed from the Epstein files. This one is just a gross, disgusting human being. Hey, are we going to see any articles on this, or rather posts from this from Libs of TikTok? Are we going to see any of that? No? Probably not. Yeah, deny. Hey folks, McConnell had a list of young incompetent candidates that would compromise the bench for GOP and Trump. Hey, remember how we went over or did we? I can't remember. If we went over the article where Boeing Boeing is being criminally investigated, and they ended up pleading guilty to the charges in which their negligence led to the two crashes that killed 346 people together between those two crashes in 2018 and 2019. Well, hey, so this is very cool and very normal. Boeing stock is up after the company pleads guilty to two criminal conspiracy charges related to the deadly 737 MAX crashes in 2018 and 2019. The stock is up because the corporate giant will only pay $250 million fine for these two crashes that killed 346 people, to which, if you kind of do the math, it pans out to be about just $693,641 per death. The cost of doing business, I guess. Will they be regulated and required to change? Nope, not at all. That was not part of the agreement. It's just, yeah. Boeing also has astronauts left in space because the shuttle they were on faltered. Jeez. Boeing has an annual revenue of about $78 billion. $240 million is like pocket change. Hey, this is the same, by the way, airline company that was complaining and needing to be bailed out by the government. There are apps to help you avoid booking a Boeing plane. Yes, there are. You can actually filter them. All right, folks, we got one more. Hurricane Beryl supercharged by crazy ocean temperatures. You know, everything is fine, folks. Nothing to see here. Hurricane Beryl, which slammed into Texas on Monday after wreaking havoc in the Caribbean, was supercharged by absolutely crazy ocean temperatures that are likely to fuel further... Whoa! Stop it, cat. Further violent storms in the coming months, scientists have warned. Just a minor Chinese hoax. What does that mean? Beryl left... If it's Boeing, I ain't going. Exactly. Beryl left more than 2 million people without power after making landfall near Houston as a Category 1 storm after having rampaged through the Caribbean as a Category 5 with wind speeds reaching 165 million, killing 11 people. Oh, the classic Trump line about global warming. That's true. It's a Chinese hoax. And this only comes after 2 Boeing whistleblowers have died. Yep. There's never been a Category 5 Atlantic hurricane this early this year before, with most major storms forming closer to September. Beryl, however, had rapidly accelerated from a minor storm to Category 4 in event in just 2 days. I work in a building where Boeing has offices, possibly to lobby Lincoln Labs. Yeah, they just had accidents. This deadly intensification was aided by unusually hot ocean temperatures along much of Beryl's path, scientists say, with seawater heated by the climate crisis helping provide the storm with extra energy over the past 10 days. Beryl would be astounding to happen anyway, but for it to form in June is completely unprecedented, said Brian McNulty, a climate scientist at the University of Miami. It's just unremarkable. It's just remarkable to see sea temperatures this warm. I don't think anyone would expect an outlier like this to happen. It exceeded expectations. With a climate change influenced ocean, we are making extreme storms like this likely to happen. While ocean temperatures around the world have steadily marched upwards as the planet heats due to burning fossil fuels, the past year has been off the charts, according to McNulty. Last year was the ocean's hottest on record, with marine heat waves sweeping 90% of the globe's oceans. This surge in heat has barely paused, with sea surface temperatures records tumbling every single day for 12 months in a row until March. A slice of the tropical Atlantic stretching from Central America to Africa, called the Main Development Region, is the main spawning area for most hurricanes, and this stretch has been amazingly warm in recent weeks, McNulty said. In places across the North Atlantic, temperatures have been as much as 5 C or 9 Fahrenheit above normal in past months. Ocean temperatures in the Stop it, cat. Ocean temperatures in the region typically peak in September or October, but the extra heat has delivered such conditions unusually early this year. In the Caribbean Sea, it has actually been warmer than its usual peak since mid-May, which is absolutely crazy. If the ocean already looks like it's peak hurricane season, we're going to get peak hurricanes. Temperatures across the Gulf of Mexico, meanwhile, are essentially as warm as bathtub water. Since Alex De Silva, lead hurricane expert at AccuWeather, those warm waters are at the surface and they extend hundreds of feet down. Warm water acts like jet fuel for hurricanes, and it won't take long for temperatures to rebound in the wake of Beryl. The persistent elevated ocean temperatures portend a potentially disastrous hurricane season, with NOAA forecasting 8 to 13 hurricanes until November from up to the usual 7. The onset of the periodic La Niña climate conditions could further propel such storms. Beryl's worrying omen for the rest of the season, McNulty said this won't be the last of these storms. While climate change isn't necessarily increasing the overall number of hurricanes, scientists have found evidence that the storms are now becoming fiercer, gaining in strength quicker, and moving more slowly. Hurricanes are drawing their power from warmer oceans while also unleashing more severe bouts of rainfall due to the extra moisture held in the Earth's atmosphere due to global warming. Rising ocean heat poses new threats in terms of damaging hurricanes. Some scientists have called for a new Category 6 classification to be added above with storms above 192, but also to the vast network of life, including humanity, which depends on the marine expanse that covers 70% of the planet. But climate change isn't real. No, they're being facetious. Such dramatic changes to the ocean will have extraordinary legacy beyond individual human lifespan, scientists warned. The timescale of the ocean is not as fast as the atmosphere, said Celeste Saulo, a Secretary General of the World Meteorological Organization, said earlier this year. Once a change is established, I would say, it's most irreversible in timescales that go from centennial to millennial. The truth about global warming is that weather changes and we don't have a good grasp on what it's supposed to be. That's not true at all. That's not true at all. That's climate change denial. Go fuck yourself. Nah. No. No. Nah. I'm telling you what I do under Just Chatting for a reason. Oh man. Normally I would get into it with people, but there's just no point to engage with this because like it's not. We're not coming from a place of reality at this point in time, and like the data is just so overwhelming. The evidence is so overwhelming that like there's no argument to be had here. Like we're not having a conversation. You're just wrong. You get what I'm saying? Exactly. You can't really debate a person arguing in bad faith. Yeah, we're coming from a place. We're coming from a place of we're coming from a place that is not reality. So we can't have a stable conversation. Sometimes we'll take on the trolls, but sometimes it's just not. Sometimes it's just not worth it. Sometimes it's just not worth it. We're becoming popular, though. I think we are. I think we're definitely moving up the ranks of the world so far. And I appreciate all of you hanging out. That being said, folks, I gotta get going. It is just over 7 o'clock, so it's time. It is time, folks. It's time for me to eat. Bye. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. As always, folks, thank you all for hanging out. John Rando, thank you for hanging out. Excuse me. Folks, if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to hit the follow button, as many of you have done today. Thank you. There are many different ways to support the channel. Keep liking the stream, subscribe on the YouTube, and join the Discord. Taco Tuesday, nice. Join the Discord. Thank you, Miss Nixa. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. S3 Harkin, thank you. Michael Hassler and Heat, thank you for modding the chat. I appreciate it. Thank you, Daniel. You do seem to attract an impressive amount of desperate troll bots. It happens, Pixie. I'm here for it. It's okay. I'm here for it. If anybody wants to watch The Handmaid's Tale, come join us on Discord. Movie night is coming up too. Yes, that's right. Lots of stuff happening on Discord, folks. So join the Discord. We'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you all for stopping by. As always, folks, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. And tomorrow, Wednesday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. See ya. Getting my days mixed up.
Change
Hang tight. All right, folks, we're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye-bye.